Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
We are finally back doing Drewling Samantics, and
Hey!
what the fuck is that?
I presume you're referring to the face furniture, the facial hair, and not the Drewling Samantics mug. I mean,
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Drewling Samantics fans and followers, anyone joining us right now, if you are not watching on YouTube, there has never been more of a moment where I implore you to do so. Because, number one, I don't want to be alone in looking at this. Because I'm a little bit scared, in all honesty. Drew has a forest growing from the bottom of his nostrils. Right, okay, so I'm guessing, mate, this is post Father Christmas beard, trimmed down, and your razor ran out of batteries.
yeah. No, I mean, it is post Santa. I've lost the beard, which got very bushy, and the moustache has been trimmed. It's also had a little bit of colour put in it, because I've got throughout January 3 or 4 Manuel gigs, 40 Towers gigs, and I thought rather than slap on a fake moustache for a couple of weeks, I'll work with a real one. So how about that then? Hey, look at that.
Yeah, how about that indeed?
Yeah. It won't be for long.
To be honest with you. Trying to resume a podcast that has been off the air for bloody ages because we've both been very busy. We can tell quite clearly what you've been busy doing. Some gangrene of the top lip, it would appear.
Yeah, it won't be for long, mate, because otherwise my darling wife will probably leave me.
I would not blame her. Anyway, I'm going to try and look past that. So if I seem a bit glassy-eyed or my eyes are in a different direction, it's because I don't want to get distracted. But anyway, hello, mate. Happy New Year.
Hello. Happy New Year. How was your Christmas? How did it all go? Had a wonderful time.
Madness, but brilliant. So everyone knows, I think everyone knows that I was at Blenheim Palace playing Captain Hook in their Neverland experience. It was mind blowing, mate.
Brilliant.
The production values and the effort and the just everything about it. There should be some videos and stuff on Blenheim Palace's social media. Go and check it out if you haven't already. Like I was on the Jolly Roger, the pirate ship, which they'd built inside their library, inside the palace, and it was a full size pirate ship, just unbelievable. And can I just say that Rusticus, who employed me, the theatrical company, and Culture Creative, who built it all and made it all, and Blenheim Palace themselves, and just everyone involved was amazing. I had such a fabulous Christmas. Best part of 250,000 people came through the door and saw us. Yeah, so it was just phenomenal, and you only have to look at the reviews and the pictures and everything on social media to see how much everyone enjoyed it. Brilliant. How was the grotto?
The grotto was amazing, mate. Again, we had a full on 23 days. So yeah, it was lovely. We can't boast the same numbers, but we had 16,500 people through. So still a busy Christmas grotto for us as well. 1,000 people a day. So yeah, it was lovely. It was full on, great fun. I dropped out of my chimney as Santa 401 times. There we are. That's how many times I dropped down the chimney.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that why you're so short? Because every time you land, you shrink a bit.
Just compacted me, mate. Yeah.
There wasn't much of you left to shrink in the
No, indeed. Yes. I mean, if you see me now in the screen, I'm actually standing up on the sofa, Yeah.
Your legs have gone like, so you're just middle now.
There's nothing.
Like do you remember when you were younger? And they were like the footballers. You could collect the little football figurines. They had a massive head, but a small body. That's basically you now.
That's me now. Yeah.
Or the more modern reboot of Alice in Wonderland. Do you remember the film?
Yeah.
Who was it playing the Queen of Hearts?
I'm trying to think now. Was it Helena Bonham Carter?
It was Helena Bonham Carter, who somehow in that had a massive head and a tiny little body. That's you. That's essentially
That's me, my friend. But
anyway, we're our first episode back of Drewling Samantics, first episode of 2025. We picked up season 12, and we're already talking absolute bollocks. Wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
However, I have to immediately cut our talking of bollocks, because we are doing something slightly different today. Normally, when we come back, we're doing a what's coming up and stuff. But actually, we're mid-season for a start. It's not a brand new season. And equally, normally when we come back in and it's the two of us. Today, it's not just the two of us.
No.
Because it's time for a guest. We've hit a guest episode point, and we have a rather special guest today. Not all our guests are special, of course, but today's guest is special in a slightly different way. Would you care to explain why, Drew?
Well, not only have we both worked with this gentleman, Sam quite a few years back, me quite a few months back, but also on meeting and working with this gentleman, I explained that we did a podcast, and he has since then, I think, binged watched something like 6 or 7 seasons, or getting on for 7 seasons. And it is not, I mean, you know, it wouldn't be elaborate, you know, to say that he actually has become a little bit of a super fan.
He actually watches our episodes on YouTube and enjoys them. And I think we don't need to explain any more now. I think we bring him in to chat to him about that.
I think so.
Not just about that. We should probably have to talk about his career a little bit, because it's a bloody good one, and he's a bloody good actor. But yes, shall we let him in? And I'm not even going to say who he is, because I think he'll be able to explain that perfectly. But we can introduce him as the true Drewling Samantics fanatic that he really is. So let's hand over and be joined by our special guest.
Boom. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with our first guest of the second half of season 12. And it suffices to say, I mean, I hope I don't offend anybody else by saying this, but we have someone we've worked with, someone we really enjoy working with, but also someone who enjoys us. We have a bit of a super fan on.
You have, yeah. I'm a big fan.
Mr. Neil James.
Such a fan. I've bought my beer. Cheers.
Cheers to you, Neil. Lovely to have you on.
Coffee. I should have, in honour of a super fan, I should have, but it is good quality coffee. Good Colombian coffee.
But yes, as Drew says, we are joined by the wonderful Mr. Neil James, a fabulous actor, brilliant voiceover artist, and more importantly than anything else, a genuine fan of Drewling Samantics, who we mentioned a few episodes back, actually, because I can't remember why we got into the subject, but we talked about the fact that you'd gone back to the start to watch us. Yet somehow you're still willing to be here now to talk to us, despite seeing all that early rubbish that we released back many moons ago. In fact, nearly 5 years ago we started doing this.
Wow.
It was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, not 5 years ago. Something like that. Anyway, we've released a lot of crap, and you've watched a lot of that crap.
Yeah, I have, yeah. Yeah.
You're supposed to say, no, it's all brilliant. Too late. Too late. We've lost.
It is great. I watch it on YouTube, and I put it on the background while I'm doing my emails, while I'm job hunting and everything, and it's just really cool, because it's like hanging out with two mates.
But that is what we're doing today. There are 3 gents having a drink, having a chat. But we want to obviously bring the audience in, for those who aren't lucky enough to know you, Neil, or to have worked with you, or to have seen any of your work, or heard your beautiful voice featuring in many things. Can you give us a bit of a quick explanation to who you are, what you do, why you're here? Go.
Yeah, I'm Neil James. I am a professional jobbing actor. I do screen stuff, I do stage stuff, and I do voice stuff. And I try and do as much of it as I can, and I try and do it to the best of my ability. And I've had some really good experiences. I've been lucky. I've made some great connections. And yeah, I've got quite a bit of work behind me now, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Amazing. What a succinct but beautiful description of what you do.
Well,
I love the fact that you describe it as stuff. Stage stuff, screen stuff. I love that. It's just like most people get sort of terribly pretentious about it. You go, well, I do like, and you're just like, yeah, I do a bit of stuff. Yeah, all right.
it's a bit of stuff. It took me a long time to tell people I was an actor, and people say, "What do you do?" I now do say I'm an actor, but for years and years, I sort of go, I do some acting. Yeah, I mean, it took me quite a while to actually commit to saying I'm an actor.
It's intriguing because if you before you dive into that people go, well, that's the same thing, isn't it? If you say I do some acting or I am an actor, but actually there is a wide gulf between those two phrases. Because one of which you're saying, well, it's something I sort of do. The other one is, no, this is me. This is what I am. It's the way my life is shaped and what my career is. So on first glance, that seems a bit weird. But no, I get that. I think I was probably the same. I mean, I had normal muggle people jobs as well. So I perhaps hid behind those a little bit. But what about your sort of story getting into it? How did you start out in the acting world?
I always wanted to be an actor. I think from a very early age, and I think it was probably Star Wars. I think it was the first Star Wars, and I've gone on a great journey with Star Wars because I think as a kid I wanted to be Luke Skywalker. As a teenager, I wanted to be Han Solo. As a guy in my 30s, I wanted to be Darth Vader, and now in my 40s, I kind of want to be the Emperor. But yeah, I think it was Star Wars, and just I watched a lot of TV and films from a very early age, and always wanted to do it. Didn't really have much confidence in doing it. So then I was in school plays at middle school. And then when I got to like high school, I stepped back from a bit. I lost a bit of confidence. I was quite overweight and spotty at school, so the last thing I really wanted was anyone to look at me. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to get up on stage. And then in my 20s, I kind of got back into it and I started doing short films and things just for fun. And I studied kind of filmmaking for a while. But it wasn't until I hit 30 that I absolutely threw myself into it and, signed up with things like Star Now and Casting Call Pro, as it was called then. And I went from there, and because I dabbled in student film and things like that, I had a show reel before I started, which obviously is something that's really difficult for up and coming actors. Because people go, well, we need to see your show reel, and they go, well, I haven't done anything. I need work in order to have a show reel. I was lucky enough that I had one, and I started applying for everything, and I got, like I say, I started off with student films. Local theatre. I live near Brighton, so Brighton obviously has the Fringe festival every summer, and I started performing in Fringe things, and it's built from there. And I've made a lot of great friends, a lot of good connections. And I like the fact that I do a mixture of screen and stage. I do come across some actors that only stick to one of those lanes, and I think. If I do a load of theatre, I miss the screen, and if I do a load of screen, I miss the theatre. I love both, and obviously, as we both know, they're very, very different crafts. But yeah, I do.
Well, interestingly, you met Sam doing one and met me doing the other, so
absolutely,
we've kind of that absolutely frames where you came from. How long ago was it you met you two, Sam and Neil?
It's funny because I know almost exactly how long it was, because I spoke the other day to a mutual friend of the podcast and equally a mutual friend of mine and yours, Neil. I spoke the other day to the lovely Joz Norris. And I think Joz was just about to go out on another tour of one of his insane comedy shows. I mean, for anyone that knows him, they'll know exactly what I mean when I say there is no one like him. He is just the most unique, unusual, but brilliant person you'll ever meet. But we worked with Joz on a web series back 10 years ago, would you believe?
10 years.
10 years ago.
Wow.
Which is part of the reason I was speaking to Joz, because it popped up and said, this is a memory from 10 years ago. And I thought, God. It's unbelievable. But we worked together on a web series called The Backbenchers, which I believe you can still find out there. It's out there somewhere. A very short web series, only about 6 episodes, only about sort of 10-15 minutes each, where I played an ex-convict. I think his name was...
Good grief, no.
Don't start, Drewsy. Look, I made a big thing about your moustache at the beginning in the intro. I've left it till now, but I can go back to the dead hamster that is currently residing.
Oh, you're all right, mate. You're all right.
But yeah, so I played an ex-convict. And Neil, come on, you must remember who you played.
Well, I played Mr. Golightly, who was a bank manager, and your character...
Exactly that.
Your character came for a job interview at my bank.
Yeah.
But you'd previously robbed a bank.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. It was in my showreel for a long time. I think I actually might put it back. It was a great little scene. Yeah.
I'm going to test you on it as well. So 2 questions. They're completely obscure, but I wonder how well you'll remember. First of all, can you remember the name of the bank that Mr. Golightly was manager of? Boyd's
Banking.
It was indeed Boyd's Banking. No idea where they got that idea.
Boyd's Banking.
The other one, and this one will really impress me. Mr. Golightly was a big fan of documentaries. And he recommended that Jack, rather than being... convict, went and watched a documentary. Can you remember the most recent one he'd watched?
No, I can't. No, I won't get that.
Drew and I watched it very recently just to sort of remind ourselves. Drew, can you remember what it was called?
It was Dostoevsky with Peter Andre.
Yes.
Which I just thought whoever wrote that was genius. It was brilliant.
The documentary was Dostoevsky and Me, starring Peter Andre.
Yeah, I do remember that now. I remember Boyd's Banking clearer because that was a line that was in my reel.
Yeah.
Boyd's
so
Banking.
So there we go. There's a complete blast from the past for you. But yeah, and we had an amazing time on that. It was very well written. And as you say, you featured it in your show reel. Bits of it were in my show reel for a while. For something that was, I mean, web series back then perhaps weren't as big as they became, and certainly now you've got sort of like social media taking over with series and stuff. So it was almost a little bit before its time, but a brilliant experience working on that. And as Drew said, that was sort of very much film based, and then fast forward 10 years or so into the future, and you got to work with my lovely partner here doing something very, very different.
Yes, we did Gaslight in Lyme Regis as part of a 2024 summer rep season, and it was wonderful. I mean, my only kind of regret is me and Drew didn't really spend much time on stage together. We only had sort of like 5 minutes right at the end of the play because the whole thing of Gaslight is I go out and he's, my character would go out and Drew's character would sneak on. But it was great, and I opened the play with quite a long scene, and then I'd go off. And then instead of going off and, sitting in my dressing room or whatever, I'd then sneak out the front and watch Drew and Vicky Porter, who was, also
did you really? I didn't know you did
I'd come out and watch. Well, I didn't do it on the show nights, but in rehearsals, definitely. I think even in the dress rehearsal, I'd come around and watch it because it was just it was a joy to watch. It really was. It was a good play. We did that. We had 3 rehearsals. We went up on 3 rehearsals.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
and it was fab. It was really good. I was really proud of it. Yeah.
It was good. I mean, it was a lovely scene. I mean, my only regret was that I did the first one, which I loved, and then left you guys to get on with it and crack on and do all the hard work with the other 2. But
you were missed. You were missed.
Oh, bless you. That was that. I mean, it was. I felt I got sort of imposter syndrome a little bit because I'd just go back and I was camping over as people who watch and listen to us will know. I camped for 10 days, so I would just sit in the sunshine all day long, and then sort of drive in the evening, do the show, and then have a pint, and then go home again. So, you guys have been slogging your guts out all day long.
We were straight into rehearsals the next morning.
In true week style.
And of course, this was all under the guise of the lovely Sue Gilroy, who has also been on the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to say that was a much nicer way of putting it. I was going to say Drew was really lazy and on a rep tour only did one of the 3 shows, which means it doesn't count at all. Whereas Neil, obviously you did all 3. I've recently done some rep theatre, not quite as sort of intensive as that. I was doing Treasure Island during the daytimes essentially, and An Ideal Husband, Oscar Wilde, in the evening. So we were sort of doing kids show versus adult show. But it's quite an experience. How did you find working through sort of 3 at once almost?
Well, obviously, in the lead up, you make sure you know the first one. Luckily, the second one I'd done before, so I was familiar. I'd done the play and the character before, so I was a bit familiar. And then the third one, which was Dial M for Murder, I was. There was very much a case of, I don't need to look at that. That's not for 2 weeks. There was that kind of thing. And then actually, when it came round, I was very late off book on Dial M. Just because it was, I hadn't given it the time, bit of a lesson learned moving forward that I hadn't given that one quite the time. So actually there was, kind of night before we opened, everyone sort of went out for pizza and everything like that. And I was like, I can't, I'm not quite ready for this. And I just need to drill it. It all came fine in the end. It always does. But that's
very honest of you. You wouldn't often find people being that sort of forward, but that's what we like to do here, as you well know. We bring real life to theatre. And I mean, I guess from an audience perspective, it's very rare you'll watch something and we'll think, well, this doesn't seem very polished. Certainly in professional theatre. I mean, amateur theatre is a slightly different entity when you've got people who are doing it for a bit of fun rather than as a career. But very, very rarely would anyone outside of the direct industry ever realise that things can be very last minute, and sometimes it's just humanly impossible to be absolutely perfect that quickly, and particularly when you're learning 3 fairly chunky scripts. It has to be said, all 3 of them,
they were.
None of them were minor like little bit parts or anything. You certainly see.
No, they were big. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, certainly the first one, Gaslight. I mean, it is with great respect to the other 2 ladies who were in the show with us. It kind of is a 3-hander, and particularly for Victoria, who was on at the beginning with you, massive, long, very emotional scene. Then has a big long scene with myself, and then you have another one with you, which gets even more emotional for her. And then you and I just come on and have a little bit of a testosterone charged argument, and then we're finished. It was a big ask for her, and then she was into the next one. So it's extraordinary, how she was really learning the lines, and but I know.
I was going to say, I get she's inspiring. Like she's such a pro.
She's great.
She is inspiring, and I sometimes we've just done a Christmas Carol in Lyme Regis, and she's so on it. I do find her inspiring. I love working with Vicky.
I was going to ask you about going back for Christmas Carol, because I was in another production, and I was asked to do it and I just couldn't do it, obviously. But what was that like? Because I mean, Lyme Regis in the summer is beautiful and warm, as we know, and we were boiling. In the winter, I can imagine that there's a complete change in the weather. Which, did it change the town? Did it? I mean, I was. Going back, was it nice to go back and do something completely different at a different time of year?
Yeah, it was, and the town was still beautiful. Obviously, it was all lit up. They had all the Christmas decorations up and the Christmas tree up, so the town was still beautiful, but it was much quieter. Obviously, we were there in July, weren't we?
Yes.
So it was packed. It was rammed. It was much quieter. It was great to go back. It was great to be back at that theatre. It was a very different kettle of fish because we were working with children. We worked with the local theatre children's group, and we did 6 shows, and there were 66 kids. 22 kids did 2 shows.
Wow.
So once we got there, it wasn't about us. It was all about the kids, blocking the kids in and things like that. So we'd done a few rehearsals. We did 4 rehearsals in London before we went down there. It was great, and we had really good. Obviously, we had kids in the show, so the kids bring parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters. So ticket sales were fantastic. I think we sold out all but 2 of the shows. It was really nice to be back. I stayed in the same lodgings that I did in the summer, so it was just like going back. Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah,
and it's
really fun.
become I was thinking about it today and thinking about, talking to yourself. I said, A Christmas Carol has almost become, in many respects, as traditional as a pantomime in some, because it's like there are many, many productions of it because it is so beloved and such a wonderful. And you say there was loads of children in it, and there are loads of ways of doing Christmas Carol. I mean, I remember seeing it. I think I was a child and went to see it. And the one that I saw was quite dark and quite scary. And Scrooge was just terrifying, and the ghosts were like bloody hell.
Yeah.
There are others are more user friendly, but it is a beautiful play to do. I've never done it. I'd love to.
Yeah, I think ours was quite scary. I played the Ghost of Christmas Is Yet to Come, and I was in a complete black mask. I could hardly see a thing, actually.
Wow.
I was in a black mask and and a big black. We didn't shy away from making it, And I played Marley as well, and Marley's quite a freaky kind of character with all those chains and everything.
I was about to say that was a fantastic image of you in all the chains. I saw some of the
I loved it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great picture.
Interestingly enough, I've done Christmas Carol as well. I did it as a three-hander schools tour, and it certainly wasn't scary in the slightest.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. But as you say, Drew, it's almost sort of timeless and is up there now with panto and I guess grottos and immersive Christmas experiences as being one of those things that's so regular that there are always opportunities to be part of it or see it. But yeah, so a busy Christmas season for you, a busy summer season for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else have you got going on? What's coming up? Tell us about all the other stuff you do as well, Neil.
Last year I had a particularly good year. I started the year doing a national tour of a play called The Haunting, which was adapted from some Charles Dickens's ghost story. So I did a lot of Dickens last year. A lot of Dickens. And that was a fantastic experience. It was hard work. It was a lot of driving. Like I say, it was, we played like Dumfries, Cumbria, places like that. But it was just lovely to see these beautiful theatres. That was really good. I came off that, and I did a play called Art in Brighton Fringe, which again went down really well. And then I was in Lyme Regis with Drew for Rep. I had a few months off after that. I had to have some gum surgery. It was a very boring story and everything's fine. But that sort of put me out of action for a couple of months. And then it was Christmas Carol. So it went really well. And I'm sure Drew will back me up, and you, because you've had her on the show, Sam. Sue Gilroy is a force to be reckoned with. She's so amazing how she so I just like to work with her forever. She's so fantastic. I absolutely adore her. So, and Christmas Carol, like I say, was a success, and it was tough. It was hard work. We had a cast of 7 like adults, and then we had the kids who were playing the Cratchit kids and Tiny Tim and everything. So we got through it. It was a really good year. And then of course I sort of woke up on like Boxing Day and thought, oh God, well, I haven't got any work for 2025 at all. And things just came in. I just did a music video for an artist called Ren, and that was a fantastic experience watching him work. He's obviously the singer songwriter, and he directs and produces the videos, and it's fascinating watching him work. Ren, R-E-N, he's really big. So that was good. I've just done a day playing a detective inspector in a horror film called The R.I.P. Man. I've got another day on that. I've got a music video this Sunday where I'm playing a stand-up comedian. We had a rehearsal for that last night, and I think I'm going to play it a little bit kind of sort of Rick Mail, Ben Elton, that sort of kind of 80s. And then I've got a short where I kind of, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, kind of play a vengeful ghost in that, but that's coming up. So there's things coming up. January's coming up, and I'll look. I mean, that brings me to something I was going to say. I was going to ask you basically about how you pick work and how you find work, like an actor's
We're being interviewed on our own pod. This is new.
Well, it's interesting. Well, I just it's like I say, because you're both actors and you're both mates. This is, and we've both got a beer. Well, 2 beers and a coffee.
That's not good. Yeah,
Those of us that
very
still
good
got
coffee.
plenty of life
Yeah.
ahead of us and aren't old and wrinkled and boring have got beer. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to talk to you like about having a code. So I have a code. When a job comes up, there's 5 things I look at, and
Right.
I try and I want to tick 3 or more of these 5.
Okay.
So there's an imaginary job. Let's say it's playing a lighthouse keeper in a short film. Okay. So my first question is, how much money am I getting?
100%.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
My second is, where is it?
Yeah.
That plays a part in stuff for me. My third is, will I learn anything from this job?
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Fourth is, will it advance my career or be good? Be a good thing for my career. And fifth is, will it be fun? Okay, so I try and look at these things. So a job comes up, and I instantly go to the list. And a lot of the time, it's how much money, not very much. So that doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But will I learn a lot? Is it fun? Will it be fun? Most jobs I do are fun, and I don't mean that we're all having a laugh. Obviously we're pros and we take it seriously, but you don't want to go away anywhere for, be it a day or a month, and have a miserable time. So I kind of look at it. So I try and stick with these 5 things. How much money is it? Is it fun? Will I learn from it? Will it advance my career? Where is it? But then sometimes this goes out the window because then something will come up and I'll go, right, okay, well, it's I don't know. Let's say it's a corporate thing that I really don't want to do. But my car's just failed its MOT, and things like that. So, and often sometimes if things are local, there's certain things that I wouldn't, like I say, I'm on the South Coast. I wouldn't travel to Leeds, Leeds or Edinburgh to do a job. But if they go, well, it's 20 minutes down the road, I do that. Are you the same? Are you guys the same?
Yeah. I mean, It's interesting because I think your 5 things, I think, are certainly all things that I consider. But I would say, I don't know how you would sort of phrase it, but depending on the answer to one is whether I consider the others. So for example, and don't get me wrong, I love what I do. I do this job because I absolutely enjoy it. It's varied, it's different, it's something that I get pleasure from. I enjoy entertaining others, so that's a big part of this. However, there are jobs that I've done where I've gone, I'm not really getting that much pleasure out of this, it's not giving anyone else much pleasure, but that money means I don't have to worry about rent for the next 6 months.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So yes, a consideration is always the money, but how much money in relation to what I'm having to do and my situation in life at that point dictates whether I then move on to element number 2. If you see what I mean.
Okay, so,
if it's enough money, and logically, regardless of people going, oh, it's all about the money, it's not all about the money. But I'm a human. I have to live. I have a mortgage to pay. I have to eat. So if this massive offer comes in for something that I go, well, I've done it a million times before, so I'm not really excited by it, or it's not very close to home, and it means I'll be away. But if that money makes sense to live my life, then of course I'm going to do it.
That's interesting.
Beyond that, I think, is when the other elements come in.
The money thing, probably because I never get anything that's a massive, that's really that massive.
Don't get me wrong, neither do I. I'm talking theoretically here.
Theoretically.
This is hypothetical scenarios, but whereas I suppose, and I'm sure you won't mind admitting it, Drew, you have done things that have been substantial pay because of the scope, the size of the project. So
yeah, I mean, I won't. I'll tell no. I won't hold back. I mean, you do an advert, and they are. It's nice remuneration for the length of time that one does it. You film for a couple of days, and then you're on a buyout deal or whatever.
Yeah.
That does make me then go, well, actually, I can afford to take something that I wouldn't normally take. I can look at the. Oh, it's a really good part. Is it paying a lot of money? Not particularly in the great scheme of things. However, Or I go, Christ, that's 400 miles away for 3 days' work. Do I really want to do that? You know, I've got to get digs when I'm there. There are some jobs that allow you to do it. I mean, you know, the advert actually, you know, the Einstein thing, I lost the 9-month tour, you know, with the unwelcome guest. I lived off savings. Actually, that's just put back in the bank what I lost. So it hasn't given me a huge cushion. I'm not saying I'm, you know, I've got money in the bank, I don't have to work. I do think about the money. I kind of go, does it interest me? It's one of my first questions, which is kind of like, if, you know, you see a role and, oh, look, there we go.
We're down again.
We're down again.
The sign has gone.
Yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, my Drewling Samantics sign has just gone on the wonk. Fallen off the
First
wall.
time in season 12, I think, Drew, isn't it?
I think it is. It normally is.
I was wondering if the moustache is going to fall off in a minute.
Yeah, no, the moustache is... No. Yeah, leave it, Neil. Just leave it. It's there for work purposes. No, I do look at something and go, can I actually, I look and go, can I do this? Am I right for the role? Am I going to be right for the role? How much work am I going to, you know, is it within my scope? Am I casting? Yeah. If I feel comfortable with that, then I go, yeah, you know, is it reasonably paid? You know, am I going to enjoy it so the money doesn't become important? So am I going to have fun? You know, and where is it is a big consideration. For me, because for two things, a personal reason, I've got you know, I don't do so much touring now because I've got an older mother. I'm an only child with an elderly mum. Mum's 89, and I have to be there to sort of kind of, you know, keep an eye.
Absolutely.
You know, I did loads of touring years ago. Now Mum's older. I tend not to do anything too far away or for too long that will take me away. So that's a consideration. Or I'm ring Mum up and say, I'm going to go on tour for 3 weeks. How's that sound? She goes, oh, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. So that, for personal reasons, you suddenly, you know, art for art's sake, and then you go, yeah, fine, but can I make it work? Is it workable? And I think for a lot of people that, you know, we're all three working actors, we're jobbing actors. For a lot of people, that they're not as, you know, that it doesn't become a full-time job. So because of family or other commitments, or they've come to acting later in life, or for whatever, all good, genuine reasons, but, you know, they'll go, oh, I can't do that because of that. I can't do that. There are good reasons, good and valid reasons. You know, people will go, oh, you should do it anyway. You know, you're actors, and you go, well, actually, you know, if you're a plumber and you go, well, I've got petrol consider. If you get offered a job, if you know you're a plumber in Brighton, you suddenly get offered a job in Leeds. You go, that doesn't make it worthwhile. So you know, it is a job, but then you've got the artistic thing. People say, well, you know, you always complain you haven't got any work. You should go where it is. Well, not if at the end of the day I end up paying to work, which has happened. You know,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
I think it's more a case of, am I going to lose by doing this job financially? It's not about, is it a massive, massive paycheck? It's about, can I continue doing my job without it costing me to do it? I think that's where it comes in. Then the level of not costing me will dictate how much I need to enjoy it, how much it needs to interest me, where it is. If it's paid lots, or they're covering travel, or they're covering accommodation, then the location doesn't matter so much. But as you say, if it's low pay but it's local, then again, that's definitely worth considering. No, it's a really good one, and I think I completely agree with you in that these things are all things that we go, right, I'm going to stand by that, I'm going to work out that, I'm going to go with that, and then something comes up, it doesn't tick any of the boxes as it should, and you go, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to do that. Yeah. I'm hugely guilty of it. And you know, and I think I should just stop. Yeah, I go, I have this code, I do this thing, and then they go, well, hold on, weren't you doing that thing the other day? And I was like, oh yeah, actually, I did do that, but that doesn't count.
We've all got dream roles or things that we'd love to do that we know that even if the pay wasn't good and it was a million miles away, we'd still say yes because it's always been a dream to do it. And I think that goes beyond the world of acting. There are things that people will go, I've always wanted to do that. I'll do that, even if it's going to cost me insane amounts of money, or if I'm going to have to miss out on doing it. There are elements of that. But no, thank you, Neil. An intriguing experience to answer a question. I mean, we've done question and answer episodes on the podcast, but that one was sort of thrown at us from nowhere. But really,
I like that one.
But,
yeah,
but what we've done is we've strayed off talking about you, and I know, obviously, as you said earlier, you're an enormously busy man in January, which we're all very jealous of. Drew and I have got stuff on, but certainly not to the level you have, it would seem. So congrats there.
I've got nothing beyond January, though. I just absolutely nothing.
That's fine. Yeah. But we do know that you've got to run off shortly. So bearing in mind that we've had this amazing chat, first of all, please will you come back on the show again in the future and chat to us?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. As a super fan, and also because there's just so much else I could talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. So please do that. But equally, as a super fan, we like to try and end our episodes in a certain way. Yeah. So, Neil James, have you a funny story, an anecdote, some sort of tale you can tell us and our listeners and watchers to end your episode, please?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, I've got two. I'll make them very quick. One of them is Gaslight, which I did with Drew back in the summer. The opening scene was Victoria and my character is being very abusive to her. I've kind of thrown her on the floor and I'm screaming at her. And at that point, on I think the second night, the back doors of the theatre opened. This big beam of light came in, covered the whole audience, and a woman's voice went, "Oh, has it already started?" She then proceeded to decided to sit in the front row whilst the play is going on. As she's going to her seat in the front row, she actually slapped her hand down on the stage about half a metre away from where Vicky was lying. It was absolutely bizarre. Wow. She was a latecomer, and she tried her best to derail the performance.
She made an entrance, clearly.
Yeah, she made a hell of an entrance. Yes. I just thought I'd bring that one up because Drew was involved, because that was gas. Another story I've got, I mean, it's not particularly funny, but I think it's quite interesting. In the early days of the career, I did a TIA. I don't know what that is. It's because I've had a beer. A
TIA is a mini stroke, so I really hope you didn't have a TIA.
Well, I mean, possibly. It's a long time ago. But a TIE...
There we go.
That'll teach me for downing that pint so quickly. A TIE tour. Yeah, did it around schools, and it was a three-hander, and it was like a kind of anti-bullying play. And we went to this particular school. We did it to a group of their drama students. I think they were their GCSE drama students. And it was a three-hander. There was one girl who was constantly on stage, never left stage. And then me and another actress, a lovely actress called Cara Fraser, we played everyone she met on her journey. So we were multi-rolling. So we'd come on, do our thing, and then we'd go off, get changed, come on with the new costume and the new props. And our props table and our costume were behind like a big black kind of partition. So just so no one can see us getting changed, basically, the illusion of theatre. And after the very first scene, it collapsed. And we're 4 minutes into the play and it collapsed, and there's another hour of the play to go.
Oh God.
And we just carried on. So we then did the whole rest of the play, but we were getting changed going out of one character into another, grabbing the necessary props. You know what it's like backstage, quick changes. Everything's like absolutely manic.
Yeah.
And we're doing this and kind of like, we're sort of, at times sort of down to our underwear, me and this actress, Cara. And obviously we're looking at each other like, oh my God, this is the worst nightmare ever. We're like, half naked in front of, this drama group. But we carried on. We were professional. We carried on and we did the play. And we got a huge round of applause, bigger than we'd normally be used to getting on this tour. And afterwards, the director and the cast, we kind of gathered and went up to the drama tutor and said, God, we're so sorry about that. And she said, stop right there. She said, they've learned more from that than they would have watching 10 different companies come and do the play.
Yeah.
They said that's such an insight into what theatre's like.
Yeah.
The fact that they watched you doing those mad changes, and you know, and you know what it's like when two people in enclosed space, you're ducking out of the way of each other, and you're helping do zips up and things like that. They were like, my students have learnt more from that than anything else. So thank you. And she actually advised us moving forward in the tour to do all the changes in front of people, which we didn't. But it was just interesting because we were mortified, absolutely mortified that we'd come and done a terrible job, and you know, we looked really unprofessional. And she was like, "They'll remember that. They will remember that as actors going out into the world. They'll remember it." So yeah, it was just an interesting story, not particularly.
I think it's a really great story.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Happy accident.
Yeah, a really happy accident. God, I shouldn't have had that beer.
Are you able to lie down for the rest of the day, Neil?
Definitely going to go and have some carbs. Yeah.
And on that note, Neil, it's been absolutely amazing chatting to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Thank you equally for being our super fan and committing to watching, as I said much earlier, all the rubbish that we've released over these past 3 or 4 years. And now for being part of the rubbish we released.
It's an honour to be part of your rubbish.
Oh, mate, bless you. Bless you.
This hasn't made me any less of a fan. It's just
amazing.
Well, you got 6 more seasons to watch, so keep going.
Exactly. I can't wait. Like I say, you're my
amazing. As said,
you're my gang.
Come back on in the near future. We'll catch up again. But a massive thank you, and a very good luck for 2025. I'm sure we'll speak at some point.
Well, and the same to both of you. It'd be lovely to work with you both again at some point. We'll see if we can make it happen.
Let's nudge Sue. Sue, if you're listening, you know these two. You've worked with these two. You've been on the pod with me. There must be a 3-hander with 2 very handsome blokes and an old midget. So come on, find us something to do.
I'm actually going to go now Google 3-hander. So
3-hander.
Find something for us. Yeah,
amazing.
It's lovely to see you, Drew. This is good. This is distinguished.
It's not for long. It's not for long.
Don't encourage it. Before you say anything that we're all going to regret, get out of it. Go on.
Yeah.
Neil, thank you so much, mate. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Neil, take care. Bye-bye, mate.
Bye.
What a genuinely lovely bloke Mr. Neil James really is. And how lovely that it's sort of come full circle. 10 years when we last worked together, and best part of sort of 10 months or possibly a little bit less for you. Like, amazing. It just goes to show how tight-knit this industry is. Everyone does know everyone through the 3 degrees of separation or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that we've both worked with him because he works so much because he is so brilliant.
And as he said, you know, he he's a jobbing actor who works across all the disciplines. They're all equally as much fun. But it was also great. He turned the tables on us as well, and it was like, I will ask you a question. How good is that?
Yeah,
how good is that?
And a genuinely good discussion, because it is true. You do have to make certain considerations when it comes to stuff, but there are also quite a few occasions where you sort of ignore that and go, "No, I'm just intrigued. I really want to do."
I'm just going to do it. Yeah. But
yes, no, a fabulous guest. An honour to have him on, knowing that he genuinely does watch and loves and enjoys the episodes and the pod in general. And yeah, a busy January for him, and we cross our fingers that it's going to be a busy rest of the year for him as well. So again, thank you, Neil, for joining us. Hope you'll watch this one and you're not having sort of weird Inception-like feelings because you're watching yourself chatting to us about anyway.
Yes.
Joey, what have you got coming up, mate?
I've got obviously a little bit of production work on Jungle Law, and then I'm a quick trip to Ireland for a couple of days to do Fawlty Towers. So a little Fawlty Towers.
Nice.
In I think it's West Island, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember it is. It's somewhere near Knock. After that, I don't know. How about yourself? Where are you? What are you doing?
So I've got. I'm also doing a weekend show like you, but I think I'm in Brighton. I can't remember. I'll have to check that. So that should be nice. Funnily enough, seeing as we've just spoken to Neil, who is in Brighton. But also I've got another job next week, but I'm not going to say too much about it because, fingers crossed, someone involved in that is going to be joining us on the podcast in the near future. So I'm not going to I'm not going to say what it is. It's not a big secret what it is, but I'm not going to talk about it now because there's every chance we're going to talk about that and other stuff like it a lot more in the near future. So I won't steal the thunder of a future guest / us talking to a future guest. But yeah, a couple of other little bits going on.
Good.
It's a nice. It's a busy January. It's quite bitty. Lots of things all over the place.
I'm much the same. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been busy for the first couple of weeks and the last couple of weeks. This one and next. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good, but it's just building, isn't it? I'm busier than I perhaps first expected to be post Christmas.
That's good,
but very happy for it. So,
in the midst of all your busy schedule and rushing here, there, and everywhere, have you got just, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes for a quick catch up? Thee and me, well, you could a record, perhaps.
Despite the fact that I have to look at whatever the hell that is growing on your phone.
I've got it's going shortly. But
it might not go before we record the next one, and that's what I'm saying. So we'll have to see.
That may not be gone then. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll ignore it. I'll breeze past it like it's not even there.
I wish I could.
But once it is gone, I'm going to make a big thing about being able to see the majority of your face again.
I tell you what I'll do. When I shave it off, Sam, I'll keep it in a little envelope for you and send it through the post. So you'll always have a little bit of Drew.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last episode of Drewling Samantics because my co-host has just made me vomit in my stomach. And on that happy note, I will see you certainly, mate. There will be time next week for another chat. Take care of yourself. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks again to Neil. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.